Christmas morning feels quiet in a way no other day does. The world slows down, notifications soften, and for a brief moment, time feels suspended. Most people see this as a break from life. The wealthy see it as a rare moment to observe it clearly. Rich people don't think about money on Christmas the way others do. They aren't stressing about spending or fantasizing about winning big next year. They're not trying to escape reality. They're studying it. While most people are distracted by tradition, rich people notice patterns. They notice how people behave when pressure disappears. They notice what remains when urgency fades. And they notice what they think about when nothing is demanded of them. This is where the difference begins. Not in hustle, not in grind, but in awareness. Most people treat Christmas like a pause button, a chance to shut their mind off completely. But rich people use it like a mirror. A moment to quietly ask, is my life actually aligned with where I want to go? They don't ask this with guilt or panic. They ask it with curiosity, because curiosity compounds faster than stress ever will. On Christmas, rich people reflect on direction, not speed. They understand that moving fast in the wrong direction is still failure. So instead of obsessing over productivity, they observe trajectory. Where am I headed, and is that path intentional? This is why Christmas matters. It strips away noise. No urgent emails, no artificial deadlines, just you, your habits, and the life those habits are building. Most people avoid this clarity. Silence makes them uncomfortable. It forces confrontation with choices they've postponed. So they fill the space with distraction. Rich people lean into the silence. They understand that clarity only appears when noise disappears. And Christmas offers that clarity for free, if you're willing to sit with it. They think about leverage, not in a technical sense, but in a life sense. What actions this year produced the biggest outcomes? And which ones quietly drained energy without moving anything forward? This reflection isn't emotional. It's strategic. Because emotion fades, but patterns repeat. And rich people are obsessed with patterns. They think about how their time was actually spent, not how it was planned, not how it was intended, but how it truly unfolded. They ask themselves uncomfortable questions. What did I tolerate that I shouldn't have? Where did I trade long-term growth for short-term comfort? And what did that cost me? Most people don't want these answers on Christmas. They want comfort. Rich people understand that comfort is temporary. Clarity lasts much longer. They reflect on who they became this year, not what they achieved. Achievements are external. Identity is permanent. Did I become more disciplined or more reactive? More intentional or more distracted? More patient or more impulsive? Because who you become determines what you can sustain. This is why rich people don't obsess over resolutions. They focus on standards. Resolutions are wishes. Standards are rules you live by even when no one is watching. Christmas exposes standards clearly. When structure disappears, what remains is who you actually are. Your defaults, your tendencies. And rich people pay close attention to those tendencies. Because your defaults write your future quietly, every day. They don't judge themselves harshly in this moment. They observe honestly. Judgment creates resistance. Observation creates leverage. This is the first thing rich people think about on Christmas. Not money, not goals, but awareness. Because awareness is the foundation everything else is built on. Without it, effort is wasted. With it, even small actions compound. And Christmas is when that awareness becomes impossible to ignore. After awareness comes something deeper. Rich people begin thinking about time differently on Christmas. Not how busy they were, but how intentionally their time was structured. They don't ask, did I work hard this year? They ask, did my time work for me? Because effort without leverage is just exhaustion. And Christmas makes that truth impossible to avoid. Most people measure time in days and weeks. Rich people measure time in seasons and years. They think in arcs, not moments. And Christmas marks the end of one arc and the beginning of another. They look back and ask which activities compounded, Which decisions made life easier 6 months later? And which habits quietly stole future freedom? Because time reveals the truth of every choice. On Christmas, rich people notice how they feel around their schedule. Do they feel rushed, even when nothing is urgent? Do they feel calm, even when challenges exist? That emotional response is data. Stress often isn't caused by workload. It's caused by misalignment, by saying yes to things that don't serve long-term direction. And Christmas highlights that misalignment clearly. They also think deeply about environment, not decor, not aesthetics, but influence. Who did I spend the most time around this year? What conversations dominated my days? What attitudes slowly shaped my thinking without me noticing? Rich people understand something most people overlook. You don't rise to your goals. You sink to your environment. And Christmas reveals that environment honestly. Family gatherings are especially revealing. Not emotionally, but psychologically. You notice which conversations energize you, and which ones drain you immediately. Rich people don't judge people for this. They simply take notes. Because awareness allows adjustment, and adjustment creates advantage. They think about inputs, what they consumed mentally all year. News, content, conversations, opinions. Inputs shape identity over time. Most people don't control their inputs. They absorb whatever appears. Rich people curate theirs carefully, because they understand mental diet matters more than motivation. Christmas is quiet enough to hear your own thoughts again. And when you hear them clearly, you notice what influenced them. This realization can be uncomfortable, but it's also empowering. They think about margin. Not profit margin, but life margin. How much space exists between obligation and freedom? Margin determines clarity. Margin determines creativity. Margin determines resilience when something breaks. And rich people are obsessed with protecting it. If life feels tight, compressed, and reactive, they know something is wrong. Not externally, structurally. And Christmas offers a rare chance to redesign structure without urgency. They don't rush this process. They let insights surface naturally, because forcing answers leads to shallow conclusions, and rich people prefer depth over speed. They also think about leverage through systems. What systems ran automatically this year? Income systems, health systems, relationship systems. And which ones required constant manual effort? Anything that demands constant force is fragile. Anything that runs on structure is scalable. Christmas highlights which parts of life are brittle and which ones are built to last. This is why rich people don't feel pressure to reset on January 1st. They're already adjusting now, quietly, deliberately. They understand that public motivation fades quickly, but private clarity compounds silently. And Christmas is the perfect environment for that clarity to form. By the end of this reflection, something shifts. They stop thinking about next year as a list of goals and start seeing it as a system to refine, a direction to commit to. This is the invisible advantage most people miss. While others disconnect completely, rich people recalibrate. While others escape reflection, rich people embrace it. And that small difference compounds into massive outcomes over time. This is what they're really thinking about on Christmas. Not how to get rich quickly, but how to live deliberately. Because deliberate lives tend to become wealthy ones. By Christmas, rich people aren't thinking about goals anymore. They're thinking about standards. Because goals are temporary. Standards are permanent. A goal says, I want this. A standard says, this is who I am. And rich people know that identity always outlives motivation. So Christmas becomes a moment of identity recalibration. They ask questions most people avoid. What behavior did I tolerate this year that I shouldn't have? Where did I lower my standards to stay comfortable? And what did that comfort cost me long term? Standards aren't about perfection. They're about non-negotiables. What you refuse to compromise on. And Christmas makes those compromises visible. Rich people look at patterns, not isolated moments. They notice where inconsistency crept in, where discipline softened slowly, and where excuses disguise themselves as reason. They don't shame themselves for it. They analyze it, because judgment shuts down growth. but observation opens the door to change. This is where decisions come into focus. Not dramatic ones, quiet ones. The kind you repeat daily without noticing. What time do I wake up when no one is watching? What do I do when energy is low? What do I default to when stress appears? These decisions define outcomes more than any resolution. Christmas strips away noise. There's no rush, no pressure to perform, just honesty. Rich people use that honesty to decide who they are willing to be next, not who they hope to become, who they commit to embodying consistently, even when no reward is immediate. They understand something subtle but powerful. Your future is built by the decisions you make when no one is demanding excellence from you. And Christmas is the ultimate test of that, because nothing external is pushing you. They also think about identity upgrades, not superficial ones, but internal shifts. How must I think differently to support a higher level of life? A higher income requires a different relationship with responsibility. A higher level of freedom requires a different relationship with discipline. And a higher standard of living requires a different relationship with discomfort. Rich people know you can't outperform your identity. So instead of chasing outcomes, they reshape self-image. Slowly, deliberately. They think about what version of themselves handled this year's challenges, and whether that version is equipped for what's coming next. If not, something has to change internally first. Christmas becomes the pause before evolution, the moment before momentum, the quiet before expansion. And they respect that pause deeply. They ask themselves what they are no longer available for. Certain conversations, certain habits, certain ways of spending time and energy. This is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. Because misaligned standards create constant friction, and friction drains momentum. They also reflect on promises made to themselves. Which ones were kept? Which ones were broken? And why? Trust in yourself compounds like capital. Break it too often, and progress slows. Honor it consistently, and confidence grows quietly. Rich people guard that self-trust carefully. By the end of this reflection, something solidifies. Not excitement, commitment. The calm certainty that next year will be different because they will be different. And this is the part most people never see. Wealth isn't built by wishing. It's built by standards reinforced daily. And Christmas is where those standards are reset. By Christmas, rich people are thinking far beyond next year. They're thinking in decades. They're thinking about legacy. And they're thinking about what outlives them. While most people measure progress year to year, wealthy thinkers zoom out. They ask where today's habits lead in 5, 10, 20 years. They understand that short-term comfort often steals long-term leverage. And Christmas is when that truth becomes impossible to ignore. They think about leverage in its purest form. Time, capital, relationships, systems. They ask where they are still trading time for money, where systems could replace effort, where ownership could replace labor, and where patience could outperform urgency. Christmas slows everything down enough to see this clearly. No inbox pressure, no artificial deadlines, just perspective. They think about what they're building that continues without them. Assets that earn, skills that compound, relationships that open doors, ideas that scale beyond effort. Wealth to them is not about accumulation. It's about sustainability. It's about freedom that doesn't disappear when effort stops. And that mindset reshapes every decision. They reflect on legacy not in a dramatic sense, but a practical one. What habits will their children inherit? What financial literacy will be passed down? What mindset will echo beyond their lifetime? Because true wealth isn't loud. It's durable. It survives market cycles, emotional swings, and generational shifts. And Christmas reminds them that time is the only non-renewable asset. They don't rush this reflection. They respect it. Because clarity now prevents regret later. And regret is one of the most expensive emotions there is. They also think about alignment. Is the life they're building actually worth maintaining? Does it reflect their values or just their ambitions? And are they designing freedom or just upgrading stress? This is where many people get it wrong. They chase money without designing meaning. But rich people understand that money is a tool, not the destination. By the end of Christmas, something settles in. Not pressure. Peace. The quiet confidence that comes from living intentionally. And this is what separates them from everyone else. They don't wait for January to think deeply. They use moments of stillness to recalibrate direction. And Christmas offers that stillness freely. They don't leave with resolutions. They leave with principles. Because principles don't rely on motivation. They operate whether you feel like it or not. And this is where everything comes together. If this message resonated with you, remember this. Principles never expire. What the great thinkers taught decades and even centuries ago still guides wealth today. Financial freedom is built on timeless habits, not quick fixes. The sooner you anchor your life in these principles, the sooner wealth stops being a distant idea and starts becoming your lived reality. If you found value here, do 3 things. Subscribe so you never miss the next timeless lesson that can shift your mindset and your money. Like this video so more people can discover these principles and apply them in their own lives. And in the comments, share which principle you're choosing to focus on. Long-term thinking, discipline, ownership, or building assets over appearances. Claim it now. Put it into words. Because clarity begins with commitment. This is your space to learn, to grow, and to step into financial freedom. Until next time, live by principle, and let those principles lead you to prosperity.